James Melendez, James the Wine Guy. I'm going to talk about the most elusive and difficult topic on YouTube. You guessed it, it's wine. So for me, I think it's a really interesting thing to talk about wine in video. I've done a lot of it, over 2,400 videos. And part of it is I started off by creating videos like a lot of people on YouTube. And for what I thought would be more successful wasn't. And that what I didn't think was going to be successful was. That is not that unusual. What is unusual is wine itself. And I'll tell you more about it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me and my experience, the presentation, and some best practices and a lot of checklists. So the reason I'm giving this is I was in Virginia for the Virginia Wineries Association. They have a similar presentation. I'm not showing you that one because I was only for that specific audience. This is really for those people out there wanting to produce wine videos who might be a vlogger or somebody who is a wine producer, and really to think about it differently. And I hope this presentation helps you to think about wine and video differently. A little bit about me. I'm based in San Francisco. I completed my undergraduate education at the University of New Mexico. I went to graduate school at St. Mary's of Minnesota. I was the National Food and Wine Marketing Manager at Cost Plus World Market, over 290 stores in the United States and about 30 U.S. states. I've been involved in wine writing, reviewing, judging, and direction for over 11 years. And I've created, again, over 2,400 videos in about 8 years. So why wine and video? Well, the obvious answer is why not? Just kidding. Ultimately, I think wine is such a great complement to video and YouTube video audiences. Now, I think a lot of it has been very, very difficult because when you look at wine and video, there's not a lot of it compared to the amount of total SKUs or the total number of bottles or cuvées that exist in the marketplace. Now, it's a great touch point with your customer. But, again, maybe it's not for your customer because maybe you're not a producer. So I encourage people to make wine videos because ultimately, I can't do every wine that's out there. Nobody can. So really, if you're a wine vlogger or writer, you really want to think about video differently and do it. So when video is done well, it really leans, your customer or your audience leans into you and your brand. You connect with a new viewer or consumer. So this is specifically the third bullet point for them. Differentiates you from just being another producer. It's that you're a producer of distinctive wines. Now, video communicates everything from excitement, enjoyment, emotion, evocation, and engagement. Video is something more than words. It's words and more. So it's for both parties. So clarifying and magnifying your brand's proposition. Why are you doing videos? What are they about? And what is your specialty if you have one? It's your brand's way to distinguish and give color, your reason for being, and your uniqueness. Now, again, popular consumer categories are pretty amazing. Food, cooking, lifestyle, vloggers are really popular. Fashion, how-to, beer, and whiskey. Now, wine, it's not there. It's so elusive and so difficult. And here's why. Let me show you this slide here. So wine challenges us because it's the most unique product on the entire planet. So when I think of wine, the only consumer product that might be as complex is the category of books. And that is the hard copy books versus the electronic books. And that's because you might have editions. But wine is much more unique than that because often, probably depends on still wines, there's many, vintage over vintage. And unlike any other product, really doesn't have that timestamp, so to speak. So there are many producers, many vintages, many wine regions on the planet, varieties, styles, different cuvées, limited production, price, distribution, and ultimately there are 40,000 laws on the books that make wine difficult to get in every single place in the United States. And again, there's only one you. So I don't want to make this a daunting task or don't do it task, but it's to understand. I think people create wine videos and they stop just as quickly as they make them. You might have started videos, but you probably stopped because it is difficult. You may not be meeting your expectation. Now, I like this chart. I made it up. I don't have any hard data points. No one does, actually, because they're so elusive. Why are they elusive? Well, first of all, beer and spirits, non-vintage. I believe that in the beer and spirits world, 40% have had some coverage in terms of video. 60% have not. That's going to change over time because the non-vintage will play into this, right? You're going to have people who cover one bottle of gin and it's covered forever unless there's a formula change, which it might have a different name at that point. Now you look at wine. I theorize there's only 5% of all wines have ever had any sort of video coverage. Now that's because of vintage, of course, and non-vintage, but there are many more producers, many more SKUs, many more wines. And so when you finish 1 year's worth of vintages, start over again for the next year. Hence, you never get quite caught up. Now, what's very different about the wine world, and maybe the beer world and the spirits world, especially the vlogging world is what everyone should look to. A lot of vloggers will go out there, create their own videos, get their own communities built, but also keep expanding on that. So I created this, what I call the House of Incremental Improvement. And there are 4 pillars to this. 1, continuous promotion. 2, collaboration. That means you might work with another video producer. Fostering your community. So when you have your community, I have about over 1,100 community members, and they watch me. Maybe not all the time, but they're really important to me. And I try to foster them by talking to them or giving a like or answering a question, and I support others. I support others who maybe they don't collaborate with me. That's okay. I can give a like. I can give a positive comment. And that's what builds a community, because people start watching. People start engaging. Now, getting started. Now, here's what I think is really, really important to do. Before you even pick up a camera, or before you pick up a camera again, write a written plan. So define what success means for you. And that is insofar as thinking about maybe the total number of hits you'll get, the total audience members, subscribers you might have. Maybe if you're a producer, you'll think about the total visitors you get at your tasting room. Or maybe people who are inquiring about your wines. But you need to decide what that is. How often might you publish? Once a month? Twice a month? Once a week? Now, don't overpublish. Don't do what I did, which is produce a video for almost every day for a few years. It's really, really arduous, and I'm glad I did it. Would I do it again the same way? Probably not. I try to define my community. I know my community because I look at my analytics. I respond to the commentators on my channel, and I want to know, who they are, and I get a sense of who they are. And I also have had guests on my video channel, which I will continue to do. And I try to do a mix of videos. Some of them are reviews, some are subject matter videos. And ultimately, what I've done is I write it down, I review it, and I go back and I review it again. Periodically, I calendarize it. I might look at this on a monthly basis. You might look at this on a quarterly basis. But if you're meeting your expectation, you'll be much happier than not even knowing what your expectation is. In terms of production, you can use your Mac, an iPhone, an Android, your Canon DSLR camera. You could have a tripod. These are things you might already have in your collection already. Settings, you can do indoor or outdoor. Video editing software, you can use some of that is native to YouTube. But ultimately for me, I'm much happier using Final Cut Pro. Now, lighting is always an issue. It's something that no matter how good of a lighting source you have, it's never quite good enough. And I'll show you what that looks like in a slide later on. A microphone, that might really help you. Although I do say you can fix some of that in post, you can't always fix everything. You can have props and risers, which are inexpensive, and something you probably already have. You might want a remote control. Maybe there's other things you want in your production. Here's a production setup example. This is how I do my videos. I try to have 3 lighting sources. I have my chair, a riser where the wine goes, computer and camera, and the filming table. Now, I want you to think of this differently. Don't go for perfect, because when you do, that's one of the things that sets you up for not creating more videos. When you have a mindset of incremental improvement, Kaizen is a Japanese term meaning change for better. It's one of my favorite terms. And really it comes from the business quality management world. But you can think of this in terms of how you increase your capabilities over time, how you increase quality in your videos. I look at a region like Champagne, fantastic example. So in 1668, Pierre Perignon goes to the Abbey and starts to blend wines, and there begins the story of creating champagne. It begins before then, but that's when you have some sense of improvement happening. Now it happens with other people in Champagne, and today without these improvements, it wasn't just one person, it wasn't just 2, it was many people, probably thousands of people. Now, you're one person, and you can do a Kaizen yourself. And I say this because I think, like me when I first started doing videos, I had no source, I had no information, I had no basis, there were no videos out there. and I'd rather give you this information and maybe affirmation. So think differently, think about incremental improvement, and go for it. Shooting, I do several things. I create an outline, and I do somewhat of a teleprompting of that outline. I don't write it verbatim. I really look at it in terms of maybe a few points I want to pick up. Maybe I have some very technical information. I always have a rehearsed intro and outro piece. That is, hi, I'm James Valentis, James the Wine Guy. My outro might be something like, I'm James Valentis, thank you for watching me today. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more. Santé. Practice a few times before starting. Don't stress while recording because you can edit out mistakes. And ask your viewers during your video to do several things for you. And give a like, subscribe to your channel, leave some comments, and share your video on their favorite social media. Now, post-production. You have to put in your intros and outros. That is animation. You'll see that on my videos. And I'll post a video right here, just one of my latest videos so you can see that. Music, I use royalty-free music. Editing's a must. I've had some people say, James, you edit too much. And I always respond back by saying, you definitely want to see my edits. You definitely want to see edits. You definitely don't want to see my videos without edits. A lot of people do it, a lot of vloggers do it, and some people do it just seamlessly and beautifully. And some do it not so seamlessly. Ultimately, I think editing is important. I used to work towards doing a video and doing it perfectly from beginning to end. And I spent so much time, and it really, in day's end, it wasn't worth it. So edit, make mistakes, but correct them in terms of your editing. Put your logos in there, some photographs, use your own. You can use Creative Commons or royalty-free, but I prefer to use my own photographs. The most difficult thing to correct in post-production is lighting. You almost can't do it, so get it right from the beginning. Sound can be enhanced in post-production, but it does have its limits. Publishing and promotion. So you're allowed by YouTube standards to like your video, share your video on social medias, create a playlist, use YouTube Card. I don't use thumbnails all the time. If I have time, I'll do it. If I don't, I won't. Consistent naming convention. I've seen people use names like img.mp4. What that really meant was the person who created the video did not create a title for the video. So I think it's a really bad thing to do. People do it all the time. But I would urge you to think differently about your naming convention because it goes a long way. Promoting your videos is not a one-time act. It's not one time you're done. It's ongoing. Now, I would say in the vlogging world, it's very different. Probably you're going to get 80-90% of your hits in the first, say, 24 hours to 1 week of the videos published. But when it comes to maybe how-tos or maybe product reviews or even wine is really very different from vlogging and vlogging of a non-wine nature. And that is simply because people are really going to look back and say, I'm really interested in this category. I want to learn about this region or about this style or about the history of champagne or whatever it might be. So they'll look back. And there's no worry about it aging. In terms of, say, a vlog might be very, very dated. So try to make your videos as dateless as possible. Gary Vaynerchuk used to make a lot of comments about the New York Jets. And of course, New York Jets fans may not find that to be that interesting because if you see something, 5-6 years ago, well, that was the Jets 5 or 6 years ago. Where are they today? So it comes out to be a little dated. You can create tags and put in your upload defaults, but I don't think it's really fundamentally important. I've understood many times that YouTube does not look at that. They may look at that in the future. They change the algorithm all the time. So, definitely caveat emptor. For me, right now, I've not used tags in a good number of years, or at least have created new ones. I use the upload defaults that put my copyright information, maybe my website or producer information. I've added my logo and branding in the watermark section. Community creation. Now, I'm really, really working hard. I'm supporting my fellow collaborators. So if you're out there and you're a producer and somebody's doing a video review of your wines, give a like. It doesn't hurt anything. Now, one thing I want to do in terms of community creation is you have to ask people to subscribe or give a like or leave a question or comment and share the video that you've just presented. So it means to communicate with your community on a timely basis. And also just, you may not be able to reach everyone, but you should try to reach as many people as you can by commenting or giving a like. Cameras are really different. I started out using my Mac computer all the time. I probably created 1,500 videos on just one computer, which is a remarkable computer. So it's a MacBook Pro. It's fantastic. I've been using my iPhone recently. I do have a DSLR camera, Canon, and so I've used all 3 modes. I have several tripods. I have 2. The Gorilla Pods are fantastic, and I have 1 really nice freestanding tripod. It's for the DSLR. It's pretty heavy. Microphones. I have a Blue Snowball, only good for the computer. I definitely have this microphone for my iPhone, which I have not really found one that I recommend, and I still am searching for a good one. It does help, but I'm not really stressing over this too much because I do some correction in post-production. Lighting. So I was talking about lighting earlier. So these are the LED lights. They're good. They eat up a lot of battery power, but they do give a nice quality light. So you have these light boxes. So it's basically conventional light and magnified. It can look very bright, can help out, but usually the quality isn't very good, and they're not really well made, so they fall apart pretty easily. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'd like to have your questions and comments down below. And so your Q&A, how we do this is you just leave them down below and I'll answer your questions. Here are my checklists. Now this is something I presented to the people that I was talking to in Virginia. So here are some video production checklists you might want to do. You might want to pay special attention, especially if you're remote. You really want to keep mindful of some of these things, and you may have more things you want to include in your video production, so be sure to add your own list. So in rendering, it can easily be unrendered without effort. I've learned that in terms of Final Cut. I do like Final Cut, but it's something that happens quite easily. Adjust for sound levels, both for background music. I love background music. I think it's important. For someone like, and for me, I use it because it really helps with pacing. It helps my audience, not just me, it helps my audience. So there's some watch outs. Light is extraordinarily hard to correct or impossible to do in post, so watch out for that. Do not change your source video file name when you're editing, because if you do, it becomes unrendered and you got to do it all over again. It could be very painful and long. And a video production equipment consideration list. So if you have a DSLR camera, you want extra batteries, maybe an extra card, a case, a camera lens kit, cleaning kit, lighting, LED, high battery usage, so you want enough rechargeable batteries, and your video editing software. You can use Adobe Premiere, Apple Final Cut, or maybe there's another video editing software you prefer. There's some free versions out there, but they're very limited. I do have an external hard drive, which I depend on because I produce a lot of video. So I have I actually have 4 external hard drives that I use over time. And what I do is I upload all the videos I've created, so it's off my computer after I've edited them. Tripod and a disc cleaner. I don't really recommend when I use Disc Diet. I'm not totally happy with it, and I've tried several others, so I'm not happy with any particular one, but it helps out to remove files that you don't need any longer in some ways, and some of it you got to do manually yourself. There's no automated way of doing that. And so resources, YouTube has a Creator Academy. It's pretty decent. You can check it out. There's YouTube how-to videos. I think they're a little more difficult, and these are not just from YouTube, by YouTube itself. It's not as easy to follow that as, say, linen.com. It's a nice treasure trove of, say, software, lighting, DSLR, editing, even information on Final Cut Pro. And I like it a lot because I go through there and I need a specific answer. I can find that answer pretty quickly, and maybe a 3 to 5 minute video, nice bite-sized videos to watch. I love Video Maker. It's a fantastic magazine. There's an online newsletter, but I really like their subscription magazine if you're into video making. So there's always a topic of interest for me on Video Maker. That's why I subscribe to this magazine. Royalty-free music, these are just 2 that I've utilized in the past, Incremental and Premium Beat. I prefer to use them than native, say, YouTube music. It's a little richer in my opinion. Design services, you can use something like 99 Design or other design companies. Intro, outros, so I've used for animation or video transition, Fiverr, to produce a really inexpensive video. Best practices, upload your video, include your website, tags, monetize your video if possible. Use a convention in terms of how you do this. So my name, the vintage, the point score, and the episode number, and my name. I make sure each section of YouTube is branded with the watermark. I make sure that I name the video right away and I publish it right away. And so the other part I definitely recommend is YouTube cards. So you might put a YouTube card to have reminders to look at another video you've created. I really put a logical flow to it. That is a reason why you might have that video to review, is because it may be a previous vintage. So after uploading your video, I save and close my file in my editing software. I make a folder for all video components. I archive and move contents to external hard drive, and I delete files off my hard drive. So you have to practice this. It's not, done so intuitively. You want to make sure you do this so that you're not taking up too much space on your computer. And so it's pretty nicely done. I really do enjoy it. So here's looking at creating your video strategy plan. So, what are your goals? Brand building, increase bottle sales if you're a producer, increase subscriber base, or even things like, your click rate. So what are the videos you want to feature? Are they all reviews? Are they informational? Are they interviews with maybe winemakers or other video makers, wine video producers? Equipment, maybe goals, subscriber base, click rate. And you can really hone in on this by using the YouTube analytics. It's going to help you to drive to be more successful. I hope this has been a presentation that's been helpful for you to really get the most out of your consideration of creating wine videos, the most difficult category and elusive category, but it won't always be. Stay tuned, ask your questions, and I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.